everybody. How are you this morning?
Good
Happy,
morning.
Morning.
happy belated Mother's Day to all of our mothers. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I'm sure that probably it looks like everybody's still enjoying their Mother's Day, sleeping in on Monday. You can't blame them about that. But as I promised to you that I would be here for you every Monday, whether it's one person or 100 persons. So I want to thank you for being committed to your business and getting up on this Monday morning to pursue it. Just to give you some information, my name is Glenda Boone. I am the founder and chief creative officer of O Taste and See Marketing and Productions, and we help small businesses develop, manage, and monetize their brands. We do so utilizing traditional out-of-the-box marketing as well as online marketing. And so what we decided to do with the influx of COVID-19 and realizing that business owners were struggling financially, we decided to end our mentoring program and our coaching program and open it up wide to allow as many business owners the opportunity to connect with us and friends and colleagues that I have known in the industry for years. These services, I hope that you don't take lightly. They cost hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars. And I do appreciate those of you that are tuning in each week as I reach out to my contacts who have graciously, and I say graciously, allotted me time to be able to share in on this. We all realize most of us work with small businesses that I invite on. And we all realize that in order for our businesses to succeed, your business must succeed. So there's no fee attached to when we come on. We're here every Monday from 10 o'clock to 11:30. So my screen stays open. You can come in and out at any time. However, I do encourage you to come in very early because I don't want to waste my friends' time. So I allow them to come in on the top half, which is the first segment. And so with that, I want to introduce my friend this morning, who is Katrina McCoy, the public relations, marketing, and brand management strategist that is out of this world. Known all over by everybody, especially in the Maryland area. Katrina simply makes things happen. She is a high-performing public relations and brand management expert. She works with a lot of major corporations in the Maryland area as well as the tri-state area. Her goal is to help organizations create their narrative and transform their brands. So whereas my focus is pretty much making sure that you get brand management online and brand awareness online, Katrina does, her expertise is public relations and the overall picture. So her piece does include online and brand management, but her expertise is in the area of getting you branded full circle. For instance, public radio. She knows every radio station in the world. Television. So she helps to package you not only online, which is what my focus is, and that's why she's so important to my network, because when people say I need to be branded, I first ask them, well, how are you branded? Are you branded offline? Like, have you done any television shows? Have you been on the radio? So hers is more overall big picture, and mine's is very niche. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that makes us critical to each other. Now, we do network a lot, and I am just so grateful. It's just like a surgeon. You got to be great at what you do, and you got to create a niche because you can't be great at everything. But I will say that Katrina McCoy is great at practically everything, all things marketing. So with that, I want to introduce her, and I present to you my friend, Katrina McCoy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Glenda. I tell you, we both have so much positive things to say about each other. We can take forever this whole time talking about that. As Glenda said, my background primarily is to help an organization build their brand and tell their story. And that is how a company or an organization, a business, becomes known. I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you have any experience or have been featured in a publication or on the media, in the news, or how many of you know about PR? I guess that's a twofold question. Okay, great. So we've got a lot of good stuff to learn that can help you get in that direction. Well, first of all, let me start by telling you what PR is. There's so many definitions out there of public relations. It's so broad. Some people think it's advertising, but it's not advertising. Advertising is paid and it's selling. Some people think that it's specifically marketing, and it's really not. PR is brand awareness. It's about your story and a chance to tell your story through the media, through earned media, not paid, but earned media, although there are some opportunities to pay for it as well. It's all about building relationships with real people, your customers, so they'll embrace your story. Public relations is about maintaining a favorable image. It's really important that your image is maintained. It's how you get other people to talk about your brand. It involves gaining coverage of your brand in the most positive way. Another thing public relation is, it's influencing the values, the opinions, and the beliefs and behaviors of others. So PR is not all good, and PR stands for public relations. It's not all good communication. You know, there is the good side of public relations where, you know, you're just branding a great image. You're building your brand in the most positive way. Or you may be in a hole where you have to fix your brand due to a crisis, and you really don't want to get into that situation, and where there is negative publicity out there, negative information. We're living in this whole social media information age time where people have access and they don't always tell the truth. But you notice how bad information seems to spread like wildflowers. So I would suggest one thing, and that is to start taking a look at your brand and seeing how you're positioned right now in the media, on the internet. Start repairing your brand. Do a Google search. Disconnect from some people who may be bringing a negative influence to your brand. Because if you're trying to build your brand, you want it to be featured in the most positive way. So I would suggest, does anyone ever Google themselves? I'm just curious. Does anyone know how they are, Glenda?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, great. So that's a great way of staying on top of you and your brand, because you are your brand. You are your brand. We may see ourselves one way, but others can see us totally different. So we want to stay on top of the way our customers view us. So that is extremely important. And it's about your reputation, keeping your reputation intact. Okay. All right. There are two types of PR, and Glenda asked me to talk about traditional as well as digital today. So I just want to, give you just an overview, a broad and simple overview about both of those types of public relations. So what's the difference in traditional PR and digital PR? So let's talk about traditional PR first. Traditional PR targets traditional media. So you ask, what is traditional media? Traditional media is print, your newspaper, your magazine, the broadcast, radio, and television station. Anything that's not online, you can say is your traditional PR, your traditional media. And your traditional strategy focuses on distributing press releases to as many media outlets as possible. The thing about traditional PR, it's kind of single focused. Whereas, of course, digital is totally different. But that is traditional PR. Do I have any questions about traditional PR? It's not online. It's your broadcast. It's all your print. It can be outdoor advertising, newspaper, publications, magazines. That is your traditional PR. Now, your digital PR is everything online. Your digital PR, it uses social media platforms to publish content online so that you can gain a much wider reach, a much wider reputation, so that from a wider perspective, people are understanding and knowing who you are. What it does is it leverages your websites, it leverages blogs, it leverages all social media platforms to deliver real-time results. Digital also gives you the opportunity to interact with your audience. With the digital PR, you can engage with your audience. You can have conversations. You can see how they feel about you. And in this age, again, they're going to be very honest on social media. You may not like everything they have to say, and there's ways of handling that too. But digital gives you the opportunity to see what your audience thinks, feels, and says about your business and about your brand. The other thing about digital media, it is digital PR, it's measurable. With digital PR, you have the opportunity to track it. You have the opportunity to look at the analytics to see how many people went to your site, how many people have responded to you. So that's the wonderful and the most powerful thing about digital. You have the opportunity to track it because digital uses digital tools and services to identify the direction of your release, and it optimizes your reach, as we were just sharing. Do I have any questions about the difference between traditional PR and digital PR? When you think of digital PR, think of everything online. If that's a quick and easy way of remembering digital, and with the traditional, everything that's not online. Okay.
Did we lose connection?
I don't know. I think she's frozen.
Yeah. About that reputation thing over and over and over again. Reputation is key. Reputation is where you're going to get your dollars, because people will look at the star ratings, your reviews, how many reviews you have. And I'm good for that. I'll go on. I don't know, is anybody else good for looking at those reviews to see what people are saying? We want to know about who we're going to invest our dollars with. We want to know if they've had some negatives. We want to know if it was all positive. And quite frankly, I'll still take a look at the negatives because I want to see just in case. And I also want to see how long ago that negative information was posted. So, and the other common factor that they both have is that it increases your visibility with your target audience. And so that is key. That is powerful. Those are a couple of the common goals. So you really want in the common goals to make your brand more recognizable. And so digital does that and traditional does that. And now people are integrating both. They're integrating digital along with traditional, because especially if your product or your business is more localized, you want to make sure you're tapping in locally so that your brand is being built. You want to make sure those outlets or those people, if you have a brick and mortar, or if you have an opportunity to reach and tap into those people in your area, you want to make sure that you are really tapping in locally to build your brand, because that's where you're going to get your money from. So let's talk about crafting your pitch to the media. When you craft your pitch, and this is one thing that I've mentioned before, is target your specific audience. You have to know who your audience is. You can't be all things to all people. And that's one of the things that Glenda mentioned too a little earlier, that she's very niche specific. crafting your specific audience for your product, for your service, knowing who it is that you're reaching, and then you look into publications that best cater, excuse me, to that group. Your pitch should be tailored to that particular publication you want to send it to. For instance, if you are a baker, you want to target a journalist or a blogger, or if they're talking about food, if they have just a little, foods of the week or foods of the day, it has to really fit who your target audience is. Okay. So the second thing about crafting your pitch is understanding your business. I think one of the things when I got on the first call was Glenda working with you all on sharing your story and telling it in 30 seconds or just your elevator pitch. So understanding your brand, having in-depth understanding of your business. So to craft a pitch, you have to know your business, you have to know it inside, and you have to know it outside. You have to be able to tell people, you may be in an elevator with someone and, potential customer. You have to be able to pitch and tell your story immediately. You never know the connections you can make with knowing that story and being able to tell it succinctly, shortly, and just as, what's a good word? It is just kind of fine tuning your story, cleaning it up. So spend some time with it. The other thing is, what makes your business interesting to your target audience and to the journalists? Those are the things that you need to talk about when you were telling your story. Those are the things that you need to try and lead with. What makes it interesting? As you know, the journalists, their time is very short, very limited. They need to hear it quick. They need to hear it right away. They need to know what's interesting. If it's not interesting to them, you're going to lose them. And they get so many pitches that, you want yours to stand out. So you have to be able to tell your story. Become the expert. It's important to become the expert, the go-to person. You want the media, you want journalists to know who you are and to come to you about a story. To be honest with you, it really helps them do their job. They've got so much going on. One of my clients is in the business of grief support. And I spent a lot of times building relationships with the media just to help them share their story. So at any given time, I can get an email, I can get a phone call. Katrina, I need to do a story on grief. Or Katrina, this is happening in the community. Can you get some people together for me that can talk to me about grief, that can, and typically when they call you like that, they're trying to, make a 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. They're trying to get you to turn things around quickly. I say that to say, be the go-to person, be the expert. And when you're positioning your organization, when you're positioning your brand, you want them to believe and understand that you are the expert in your brand. The other part about crafting your pitch is research. Research the journalists. You want to find out who's doing what. Know their publications, know their format, know their target audience, know the frequency of how often the publication comes out, know who their readership is. And that particular publication, that particular journal is who you want to make sure you start developing that relationship with. Okay, let's see here. Let me just take a peek. I went over the reading the journalist articles. I'm getting ahead of myself. And, check them out on social media. We're living in a time now where you can look at and check up on anybody. You can go on any of those social media. All you need is a name. All you need is a name. You put that name in, you do a search, and you find out as much as you can. And there is, there's not a lot of secrets out here. If they're talking about one specific thing over and over again, that gives you the opportunity to tailor your pitch. And that's important to all journalists. It has to be specific. You don't want to send a generic pitch because it's just going to get tossed. They're going to know right away, okay, this is generic. And even if you do have a generic template, make sure you customize it. Make sure that it appeals to the journalist. So tailor it as much as possible because it's so important to be targeted, to be target specific. You know,
I have a
journalists.
question.
Sure.
I'm not following you in terms of finding the journalist that you need to tap into.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I have a product, how do I understand the first thing I do. I mean, I look for what? What am I looking for?
Okay, and that's where your research comes into play. There's all kinds of sites out here, and that would be probably a whole nother different talk. There's so many different sites out here where journalists frequent. I mean, there's Reddit, there's opportunities to research journalists. And so there's all kinds of sites and opportunities to find them. And then there's ways, if you are local and if you're focusing local, pick up the paper, get the Sun, find out who's writing about, what is your brand? What do you say?
I make coasters, plaques, trivets, clocks, and I put inspirational verses on them.
Now,
so mine is mostly like gift giving and inspirational type products for, I could sell it to just about anybody.
So you're probably going to have to try and scale it back and just focus on different aspects of your business each time and find out which part of that business do you get has the most traction. And then you're going to have to do your research. Finding that journalist sometimes can be a needle in a haystack, but it's going to be worth the search. Once you start building your list, you have to build your list. And then once you build that list through your research, then you start crafting your pitch and trying to reach out. Now, you're probably going to get a lot of no's because that happens, and because they get so many people trying to come to them for a story and get coverage. And that's why being able to craft your pitch is extremely important.
Okay.
Because you're really doing their job for them, which is what they're looking for. If you can pitch them, this is the angle, this is the story, and this is, bam, they like that. Then they can run with that because in their business, it's immediate. So again, who your target audience is, this again is, who is your target audience? Because if you're going to a journalist or going to media, you can't be all things. You have to pick what you believe is going to give you the most traction and then start focusing on that and building out.
Okay.
And so reaching the, what would you say would be?
I would think Christians, religious people in the church.
Okay.
They would probably embrace my product really good because I use a lot of scriptural verses and Bible verses, things that come from God's word.
Okay.
So I'm thinking that the church or the Christian community would probably be.
See, you answered your question. You scaled it back, and now you answered your question. You can go online. There's so many people who have Christian sites out here or Christian groups. You can just go to town on Facebook and do a search and put in the keyword, and that's key, the keyword search, so you can bring those groups up. Join the groups. A lot of those groups, especially those Facebook groups, they give you an opportunity to pitch your service.
Yeah,
they give you an opportunity to be featured. So there you go.
Okay.
Know your brand, know your specific focus, centralize it, try to make it very, very specific at first, and then you may have to go to the next category.
Okay. Thank you.
And then you focus on that. So it's not going to be a all in one. It's going to have to, in order for you to get that interest, and then get some bloggers to write about you. tell your story. I mean, do you have a unique story? And I'm probably getting ahead of myself a little bit, but tell your story. And that also helps to brand you as the expert.
And then speaking
Okay.
of story, Katrina, I have a question. A lot of my friends that are on today, they market their products. And so they are looking to market their products online, utilizing the Facebook Lives and Instagram TV and all of that. Can you talk a little bit about how they should try to craft their brand while they're using those platforms, that they need, that they really need to zoom in, and how they could do that?
Right. Less is more. So if people don't know your brand or your product immediately when you're posting it, then you have to do some fine tuning and fine structuring of your brand. Are you looking at buying the ads? Because that's another way of getting your information out there. But again, it starts with that basic, crafting your brand, telling your story, your specific story. So to market your brand, it has to be done, even in social media, you're going to see a lot of ads are short. They're not long. A lot of the stories, depending on what you're using, especially if you're tweeting, if you're using Instagram, and even Facebook, people need to know quickly what it is that you do. So take a look at your ads. Take a look at how you're marketing yourself on social media. Because the thing about this whole marketing on social media, it's not the same as presenting. Every platform has a way that they want you to tell your information. The number of words, whether it's Instagram, it may be shorter, or whether it's through video, which is truly becoming king, it really is. So I would say, take a look, get an analysis as to how you're marketing yourself. Show it to other people, share it with your friends, share it with Glenda, and say, do you know what I do? Does this pop? And that's the biggest thing. You've got to pop. Your brand has to pop. There's a lot of competition out there. You got to get some color in there. You have to use words that will attract to people who can relate to what it is that you're doing. Am I answering your question?
Yes. And so thank you for that, because an ad doesn't necessarily mean that you're buying it. Whenever you create a post, when you put a post up, even if you put it up on social media, Instagram, that is considered an ad. It's a non-paid ad, but it's an ad.
Yeah. Thanks for
you want to be very, very strategic on what you're posting.
Exactly. Now, I'm glad she clarified that for me, because a lot of times I may have a designer create my posts.
Right.
And so sometimes I'll call it an ad, but she's absolutely right.
Right.
Language is posting. So take a look at your post. Take a look at that image. Take a look at, is it fine-tuned? Do people know who you are? Does it best represent you? Because remember, once it's out there, it's out there.
Right. And then I think one of the guest example that I can use in the chat today would probably be Ledley Smith, because Ledley just has, she sells jewelry, and her brand, she branded I Am Your Jewelry Lady. So it's very short.
Mm-hmm.
She has jewelry in it.
Mm-hmm.
So when people say who she is, I'm your jewelry lady.
That's perfect.
So it's real short. People know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
It's catchy.
Yes.
So she can still say, hi, I'm Ledley Smith, or, I'm Ledley Smith and I'm your jewelry lady. So people know quickly exactly who she is and what she does.
That's perfect. And then, make it pop more by putting some of that jewelry on there so that it'll attract the eye, because they're going to see that right away. I am your jewelry lady. Women love jewelry.
Right. And if you haven't visited her show, her Facebook Live shows, please do so. I send all of my new clients to that platform so that you can see how she does it. And she wears all her jewelry. She said, I'm Ledley, but I am your jewelry lady. She's very animated, but she's created her character. And so people show up for that character. Yours might be a little bit more subdued, but I want you to just study it. So go to her platform and just study how she's doing it and how the people are interacting.
Well, that's excellent. That's perfect.